starting from chapter 37. So nothing to be afraid of. Now this chapter 37 is বললাম না? হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা 37 ই তো, হ্যাঁ, just a minute, একবার চেক করি। I think it is chapter 37 that we are going to do today. Okay, so let us start from the chapter only, because my over here the record says that it is 37. So you need not worry. Chapter প্রচুর আছে, chapter প্রচুর, 46. Not a matter of joke. বলো খান, আসলে আমরা কত অব্দি করেছি বলো, পট করে বলো। হুম, 34 অব্দি হয়েছে। মেয়েটাকে এত স্টুডেন্ট, আর যখন বলি সবটা মুখস্থ বলি না। চ্যাপ্টার 34 বলছো তুমি, তাই তো? If I'm not wrong. Just a minute, না একটু ওয়েট করি, জাস্ট। I was trying to say. Never mind if you have left any, we'll see to it. And yet, but let us continue. So, chapter 37, the commander takes Offred to an old hotel that Offred remembers from pre-Gilead days, when she often met Luke there. In the central courtyard, Offred sees women dressed in gaudy and revealing clothes from the past. The women mingle with important, powerful men. Offred realizes she should stay quiet, because here, if you want to say anything against the Gileadian, then of course you will fall in problems. So it is better to remain quiet. So the woman mingled with the important, powerful men. Offred realizes she should stay quiet and look down. She senses that the commander likes showing her off and enjoys showing off for her. That means the commander loves showing women bodies, naked bodies. He explains that the club is officially forbidden, but that everyone knows that to be satisfied, men require a variety of women. It depends on their bodily texture and size, and their position and their style and their presentation. Some of the women were prostitutes before Gilead, others once lawyers, sociologists, and businessmen prefer turning tricks in the club to life in the colonies or as handmaid. Suddenly, Offred spots Moira, her friend, in the crowd. Moira wears an ill-fitting Playboy bunny costume. She turns and sees Offred, and then Moira gives the old signal to meet her in the washroom. Then we move on to chapter 38. 5 minutes later, Offred makes her way to the washroom. A dressed up aunt standing guard with a kettle Prod tells her she has 15 minutes. Offred meets Moira inside and explains that the commander smuggled her into the club just for the night. Moira tells her own story. After escaping from the Red Center, she made her way to the center of the town in Aunt Elizabeth's clothes and went to the home of a Quaker couple involved in resistance. She says at that time the general public did not know about the Red Center because of the authorities of Gilead feared people would object at first. Red Center told you were naked prostitutes are shown to the people. The Quakers put Moira on the underground female road, a system for getting women to safety. They tried to smuggle her out of the country, but just as Moira was leaving the final safe house to slip across the border in the boat, she was caught. The eyes tortured her and showed her movies of the colonies where old women and subversives clean up radioactive spills and dead bodies from the war, and the life expectancy is 3 years. Moira chose to work as a prostitute in the rather than go to the colonies. Offred is disappointed to hear the fatalism in Moira's voice. Moira resignedly tells Offred she should try to work at the club where they get 3 or 4 years to live and face scream. Offred misses the old Moira who was so spirited and full of rebellion. After she leaves the club, she never sees Moira again. Now, in the next chapter, in summary 39, we find that the commander takes Offred to a hotel room, which reminds her of her affair with Luke, her husband. She accuses herself to go to the bathroom. She hears toilets flushing in the other rooms and feels comforted thinking of the universality of bodily functions. She thinks that Moira and her mother in the washroom, Moira said that she saw Offred's mother in one of the films about the colonies. Offred had assumed her mother was dead. Offred remembers going to her mother's apartment with Luke during the early days of Gilead. She found the place in disarray and her mother gone. So Luke told her not to call the police, saying it would be do any good because the Gileadians were very ruthless. Ruthless. She remembers how much spirit her mother used to have, but she realizes that the colonies must have stripped it away. So the commander is lying on the bed waiting for her when she exits the bathroom. He seems disappointed that she's not excited about a real sex encounter that she would like to have enjoyed. His, so he looks rather smaller, older without his clothing. Offred feels no excitement and silently orders herself to fake it. In this way, we go on to the chapter 40. Back in a room at the commander's house, Offred has removed her makeup and put on handmaid's clothes. Selena plans to meet her at night to take her to Nick, her husband, so that Offred and Nick can have sex. In the middle of the night, Selena comes and tells Offred to go to Nick's apartment. Selena will wait for Offred to return. Offred twice tells the story of what happens next. The first story, thick with passion and desire, is told in the breathy language of a romantic novel. The second, probably more accurate, is awkward, uncertain, and full of sadness for the lost courtship rituals of the pre-Gilead world. No romance, okay? Nick says before they begin. Offred takes pleasure in the act this time. Offred says that neither of the versions is complete accurate, that every story is by nature a reconstruction. After sleeping with Nick, she feels ashamed. She feels betrayed. Luke and utter and wonders if she would feel differently if she knew Luke was dead. Next, we move on to chapter 37 to 40. When we analyze the chapter in this way, that Atwood suggests that patriarchal societies tend to divide women into two types, the virgin and the whore. Whore means the prostitute. In Gilead, the virginal women are nearly sexless wives and daughter, the invisible Marthas and the holy handmaids, all of whose sexual lives are tightly restricted. The words of the prostitutes are Jezebels. Jezebel, for whom the men's club is named, was an evil Old Testament queen, guilty of every sort of depravity, who came to symbolize the prototypically vicious woman in Judean Christian imagination. The men of Gilead admit to no middle ground or grey area between virgin and whore. The club exposes the hypocrisy of the powerful men who pontificate about sexual morality and then spend their evenings daily dallying with prostitutes. Officially, Gilead draws its ideology from the Old Testament, although it wraps the Old Testament in order to suit its ideas and wholly rejects modern science. Yet, to justify Jezebel's existence, the commander snatches at the rhetoric of the late 20th century of evolutionary psychologists, lecturing Offred on how men need multiple sexual partners because nature demands variety. It is part of the procreational strategy. Again, the question of biology comes. The commander picks and chooses from earlier traditions as they please. The Old Testament is useful for subjugating women, but modern sociobiology provides justification for their own philandering. During an encounter with Moira, Offred learns that the spirit of her mother and Moira, both figures of transgression and resistance, have been broken. At the Red Center, Moira was an icon whose actions suggested that fighting Gilead was possible. Offred's mother, feminist and a political activist, embodied everything that Gilead condemned. Although Offred once took for granted the freedom of her mother's generation, fought for now, trapped in Gilead, she realizes that her mother was, like Moira, an embodiment of resistance to the regime. At Jezebel's, Moira says she is resigned to her fate. She seems listless and trapped. Instead of embodying defiance, Moira now embodies Gilead's ability to crush even the strongest spirit. When Offred learns that her mother went to the colony, she knows her mother will not have any strength left for resistance. So, even if she is still alive, only one flash of hope lights up Moira's narrative. Her description of the underground female road, an underground network working to smuggle women out of Gilead. Its name references the Underground Railroad, which transported escaped slaves from safe house to safe house in the days before the Civil War in the United States. So the fact that such a network exists gives us the sense that even if Moira herself has given up hope, the struggle against Gilead presses on. So Atwood juxtaposes Offred's sexual encounters with the commander and with Nick to highlight the differences between forced sex and sex by choice. When the commander has sex with her, Offred cannot bust any passion. Her passivity disappoints the commander, who seems to want romance and passion, despite his praise for arranged marriages. Atwood's novel suggests that Offred cannot give him big passion because she sleeps with him against her will, and romance requires the exercise of the free will. Otherwise, romance is not possible. Because Gilead outlaws the freedom essential to passion, the commander cannot just conjure it when he wants. Software and Nick's coupling, on the other hand, has a spark, a sense of desire, you can say. Software narrates the scene in an elegiac tone, depicting her sex with Nick as an act of mourning for the vanished world of romance and courtship and love. His request and no romance reminds them what they cannot have. So you see, this Gileadian world, what they do with women is they force women into having sex with them, even if they don't like it, but they must have it. And this is the word of this is the Ghanaian word.